episode of the Source Seeker Hour. I am your host, the Bishop George Sanders, giving a big shout out to the Source Seeker himself, Baruti Carl Alexander. I have some great guests in the show on this night, and we're going to be talking about a very intriguing topic: homelessness. What does it mean? What is being done about it? How is it affecting our community and our society as a whole? Well, I have some guests in here that are going to shed some light and some illumination on the topic. Joining me in the studio on tonight, I have some great guests, Reverend Christopher Times. I also have Minister Derek, let me say it right. Daryl Duran Gillespie. And we have the man himself, Dr. Vion McReynolds, in the house. Real quick, I'm going to give them about 30 seconds to tell us about themselves and just give us a little insight on who they are and what they do. I'm going to start to my right with Pastor Times. Go ahead, Pastor Times.
My name is Pastor Times. I've got experience dealing with working in the homeless field for years for different agencies in the area. I also have a mental health degree, so I work with mental health who also are homeless in the area. I do a lot of work with that. And so that's kind of my history.
Oh, great. I'm going to go on over here to my side over here, and I'm going to start with one of our Source Seeker veterans, Dr. Vion McReynolds. Take it away, sir.
Hello, I'm Vion McReynolds, coordinator of Tour de Hood, Third Ward Bikes, and Third Ward Tours at 2305 Wheeler. We ride every Wednesday. Get out and get healthy.
All right. And finally, we want to talk to Minister Gillespie. Tell us about yourself.
My name is Duran Gillespie. I'm currently with Standing Faith Ministry for 784 Davidson Street in Houston, Texas, 77091. We are a restoration worship service, re-entry program as well. We help individual homeless. We also doing the prison ministry as well. So those individuals that are homeless, that are maybe seeking help, we help those with his and hers clothes pantry, as well as jobs and individual things like that. I thank you, God bless you, and hope to find y'all there if you need any help. Amen.
I love his spirit, y'all. It's a very just loving, humble spirit. Before we get into our topic, we just want to stay abreast of current events. We hope that everybody out there that's in the sound of our voices are washing your hands and Lysol in your home, your furniture, your cat, your dog, the goldfish, because we're dealing with a pandemic, COVID-19, known to those of us that are in the highways and byways as the coronavirus. And it has made its way not only to our shores, our country, but now it has made its way into our homes. We may not have it, but we know somebody that knows somebody that's dealing with COVID-19. So this thing has become epic. Our schools are shut down. Our churches are shut down. Somebody asked me today, are you shutting down? I said, I never really thought about it, but anywhere where people are gathering together, it could be a hot spot for the spread of this pandemic. So, and I feel that it ties into the subject today with homelessness because they don't have a roof over their head,
Right.
and the world is their home. Then they're pretty much interacting with everyone.
Right.
So what I want to do is that I want to get some feelings on that. I know I'm going to give Dr. Villa a minute to get us started with that, because I know that he's real, I know he's real passionate about that. So go ahead.
Okay, I just want to give a plug to the Texas Housers, or the Texas Low Income Housing Information Service. If you're interested in housing information, that's a great place to find information, texashousers.org. Basically, one of the issues of homelessness is that we generally think of people that are homeless that we see on the street. However, there's a huge population, probably we've got somebody in our homes now that doesn't have a place to stay, that they're staying with us because they are actually homeless. So we can see these problems. More than likely it could be a result of an illness or a low-paying job, where we have major corporations like McDonald's, Walmart, where we have service people that are working, but they're working at a slave labor wage where they can't afford a place to stay.
Okay. Minister Gillespie, I want you to shed some light, because pretty much that's part of what you do in ministry. You want to shed some light on that?
Yes, those individuals may be homeless. First of all, we also go out as well and hit the streets. We pass out soap, deodorant, toothpaste. We also bring those individuals in over at 784 Davidson Street. Brother Barbara Nelson, that's the founder, Pastor Michael Nelson, the pastor. They are able to take showers and get clean and get some clothing as well, you know. So we also have a lot of people out there that are homeless. We know that. And with this type of going on out there, you have to be very, very careful interacting, you know, how you interacting with those individuals. But it's also to make sure that we're not just forgetting about them, you know, because they're human as well, you know, and they need help. So that is a big part of our lives, a big part of standing in faith ministry, where we don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk as well. So, amen to that.
Well, while we're on that topic, you know, Dr. V been talking about this, and myself and Pastor Times, we've been avid listeners. Can you shed some light on what is the homelessness situation? That you know, what's really going on with the homeless? What are some of the obstacles and the challenges that they're facing out there on the street that makes it important for us to do something?
Right now, the situation, a lot of times they don't have food. That's number one, food. Being able to give them a hot meal, something to drink, water, you know, these type of things, blankets, you know, clothing, these type of things. You have to understand that they lay their head down wherever they can. Yesterday, I seen a guy laying in the drive-thru at Wendy's. It was closed after hours. And he's not trying to harm anyone. He's trying to lay his head wherever he can, which we would call a roof over our head.
Right.
Those individuals don't have roofs over their head, but they're still trying to make fit, you know, to have somewhere to lay their head. Me myself, you know, I've been in that situation years back. I was homeless, you know, so I know what it's like to be homeless, laying behind dumpsters, getting your cardboard, opening it up, being able to lay on that, taking your shirt off to cover up. Yes, sir. So I'm not, you know, ashamed to say that, because now I thank God for where He's put me at to be able to help those individuals that are still out there homeless and looking for help, you know. So that's a big part of my life and my ministry as well.
Dr. V, you seen the same thing? Or?
Well, of course, you know, I probably live very close to the largest homeless population in Houston. At least at one time in Houston, right at the branch in Wheeler. So I live right on Wheeler. And we see, you know, these are the people out there we can see, and that many of them have mental deficiencies. They have been beat down, or just through life, they cannot process information well anymore. And one of the things that was said is that they are people. And just to have to make that statement says that we're very callous in our hearts toward other human beings that we can see that need help. But now I don't want to give him this $5 because he may go buy something that he wants. So, you know, we're very callous, and that's why we have so many of those people out there, because we're not willing to share our resources with those that are less fortunate.
Wow, I'm really loving this topic. Pastor Times, talk to us. What's been your experience with the homeless?
I've worked with the homeless on and off for a number of years, probably 20 years or so. Back in the 90s, I used to work with the homeless on a daily basis, and I saw a lot of the same things that you all were talking about then. And I was ground zero, really. Right on the branch, worked down there. I won't say where I worked, but it was every day, all day, and it was some of the most rewarding work I believe I've ever had. But the people were very giving and caring. Once you get past that the roughy look, that scruffy, you start talking about, I ran into, and this is back in the 90s, and I'm sure it's probably still the same way now, people with master's degrees living on the street. People highly educated living on the street. A lot of times, the way I work now with people who are homeless, they have mental illness. And so I work in that capacity. But still, highly intelligent. A lot of times people need a place to stay. And actually the truth is that most Americans are probably a couple of paychecks from living on the street. And so, it's really very hard. There was a sad story, won't call any names, but there's a couple that got kicked out of their house. They were evicted, and that's another way to get homeless. And this person wasn't behind on the rent, and just got put out for whatever reason. That person ended up living, let's say, by the bridge, off the Beltway. And one night, and it was probably less than a week of them being evicted, they were run over and killed by a driver, And so that's kind of how this plays out a lot of times. And we tend to drive by people and snub your nose out of people. You got any change or whatever. You never know what folks' stories are. And then you might be one step away from that story. And so I think that human, I like what you said, Dr. V, about that humanness there, that human connection that we all really have with people. I think that might, I don't know, I'm assuming that might cause people to kind of like, I don't want to look to my left or right to the people standing on the corner. There was a guy, and you've probably seen him on the street. They have the vest and they got these tracks they hang out, they hand out, and they're like recovery, whatever, And so one guy rolled up, and I was busy, so I can raise my hand and say that I was a part of one of those people that didn't want to be bothered that day. And I left my job, and I had stuff on my mind. I was going somewhere, and the brother saw me, and he said, "Man, I had a $5 bill sitting right there," and he said, "Man, give me that $5." He was just joking with me, and I laughed, man. And I started, and I thought about it. I said, "Man, here," I dropped my window and gave him the $5. But it's easy to ignore people. But people have mental illness. Some people fall on hard times, become destitute for whatever reason. It's easy to judge folks when you're not, quote unquote, in their shoes. But a lot of people, they just want a roof over their heads. Some people just want to be left alone. Some people are paranoid. People have done them wrong, so they'd rather stay on the street. So lots of different stories. You never know what those are until you talk.
That's kind of like what I wanted to ask. I'm the bishop, but right now I'm going to be the devil's advocate. Everybody that's out there on the streets that's calling themselves homeless, or they quote unquote really homeless out of desperation, Or is there a group out there that's homeless by choice?
There are some. I can tell you, I've got several clients of mine who, when I offer, hey, we've got resources, can you stay, you want to stay here? I don't want to go there. I don't want to stay there. I'm okay where I'm at. And I'm like scratching my head. I'm like, what? I'm offering this person some resources, and they'd rather stay outside. And I'm like, well, okay. So some people might want to stay out.
Well, Bishop, that's what happens sometimes with the people out there that's trying to help the homeless that are really homeless. You have individuals that are out there that are not homeless, that are staying in big, nice 3-story, 2-story houses with Bentley, nice cars. Those individuals go out there every day like a job to go out there and get money from people. So that makes it hard. Scam. That's what it's called, scam. And it makes it harder for the homeless people, the people that are really in need of help. When you have someone pull up at the light and you see a homeless guy, a lot of times the first thing you think about is, am I going to give him this money? What is he going to do with it? Well, see, when you're giving it out your heart, you're not worried about what he's going to do with it, because that's a blessing what you're doing right there. You're trying to bless him. So it's not up to you to worry about what he's going to do with it. If you're going to give it to him, give it to him.
Right.
Now, there's a way also saying that I'll just give him, your homeless brother, would you like something to eat? Or would you like, a hot shower? Or if you can go there for with him. Those are ways you can also help. So it's not all the time that you have to put the money in the hand, But that is a good topic right there, Bishop. Those individuals that are out there faking and scamming, yeah.
Yeah, that's a small population, and we can always talk about the exceptions, but the general rule is people are not scamming, they're hungry, they need resources. But I want to just kind of turn the emphasis that we spend billions of dollars on bombs to kill people, and that's our tax dollars. And now it's election time. Why don't we try to take some of those tax dollars and deal with those that are less fortunate, to provide housing, to provide a decent living wage for the masses of the people, to provide some health care, because that's one of the issues right now with the coronavirus, that if the virus hits that population, they have very little resources for health care, so it will spread through that community like wildfire. And then we'll have a bigger hotspot.
Dr. V. We got to deal with this. Now, number one, you said that the government should stop using this money for the defense of the nation, and that they should start circulating this money to help the homeless. Then number two, in the midst of a coronavirus, instead of putting all the money on research for the coronavirus, you want a portion of that to go to covering the homeless. Now, I got a C question. If the coronavirus hits this population, is this a population that the government would be worried about surviving the coronavirus?
Well, they may not care about them surviving the coronavirus. However, the major issue with the coronavirus is how contagious it is and how it's able to spread. So when you increase the population that have the virus, then the virus is more able to spread throughout the non-homeless population, because you have a very hot spot with these homeless people, particularly like here in Houston, LA, where they go into the stores, they go on public transportation. They have lives just like everybody else. It's a little bit
different. So you're saying that the homeless have interactions with the non-homeless?
With everybody. Yes.
Wow.
Well, let's say they're going in for medical care, or they're going into a shelter. So now we have all these people in the shelter, and some of the people in the shelter work that actually service food or generally service industry somewhere. So they interact with a lot of people. So we have to watch how that connection would take place.
Listen, guys, it's time for us to take a break. But when we come back, we're going to be talking about the conspiracy of the coronavirus and how it will affect the homeless. We'll be right back in a second. Stay tuned on The Source Seeker. Welcome back to the Source Seeker Hour. We're talking about the plight of the homeless, and we've added a little segment to that with the national, international pandemic that's taking place. How is it affecting the homeless? Now, I told my guests that I was going to do a spin on this, and that we were going to discuss the conspiracies of this COVID-19, the coronavirus. Of course, we know that the sources say that it originated out of the Wuhan province of China from one of their labs where supposedly they were experimenting with some bats and other animals, and some of them, as it was purported to have escaped from the testing facility and found itself on the steam platter of a lot of homes and families in China. You know, I'm very kosher, so I'm not into that wild game and all of that. If it's not chicken, fish, or steak, I'm probably not eating it. But I know to each his own, but this is one of the conspiracies they stated how it originated, because in Wuhan, even as it's been stated in books in the 80s by what's that author's name? Dean Koontz and others, where they talked about these lab facilities in Asia where they practice biological and chemical warfare, making things that will depopulate the earth. Now, I'm not going to focus so much on that as what's going on in the good old United States of America, because one of the things that we know about this virus, gentlemen, is that if you're over the age of 50, that you are more prone to a fatality, that the virus is a little bit more aggressive in the elderly than it is in the younger generations. Conspiracy number one, is this a way to knock a lot of elderly people from getting SSI, if you know what I mean? Because if they are not here, then that's money that the government does not have to spend. Number two, is it getting rid of the undesirables, i.e. the homeless, the population that is drug addicted, the mentally ill? Is this virus also one of the agendas to get rid of the undesirables of what's taking place? And number three, has it been set out to be something to intentionally depopulate the planet, since that is one of the agendas in making our planet a little bit more habitable? They don't like to say it in the public circles, but everywhere you go where they talk about ecosystems and the environment, they tell us that the world would be a lot better, especially Asia, which is highly overpopulated, if we could depopulate by several millions of people. So what I want to ask my panel here is, do you feel that there is any validity to the conspiracies that come with this new coronavirus that we are facing now? And I'm looking at Dr. V. He is itching for a scratch. I'm going to let him take it away.
The real conspiracy, I think, is in the leadership that we think actually knows what they're doing. We've seen, unfortunately, our president and his entourage trying to deal with the issue of coronavirus. He told us that, oh, we got 15 cases and it's going to reduce from here. He told us that it's going to get better. He told us that we had plenty of tests ready and available. He's told us a lot of things that have not been true. I think the conspiracy is for the masses of American people to think they have a leader that has good sense. I think that's where the conspiracy is.
Are you telling me that our president is not competent and equipped to handle this virus? You know, he does believe in what we call an alternate truth. Is what taking place an alternate truth of our beloved president?
Well, you know, I think that it's not me saying that. It's world leaders around the world that says Trump is not fit to be a leader. Many people, even in his party, have criticized him in his leadership ability. Within his staff, on a one-to-one, they have to try to correct him on a daily basis of saying things that are incorrect.
Hold on, let's put a spin on it here and we'll let everybody else get in. So at this moment in time, and I don't know how far you've been keeping up with what's going on in other nations, but how would you compare Trump against
Congratulations. Your show was number 30. The show on the 30.
That ain't me.
Okay. That was I don't know.
Technical difficulty.
Yeah.
He said he can edit it.
Okay, I thought somebody was checking us for what we talking about, you know. Big Brother's watching us. But how would you compare what Trump is doing to what the Italian leader is dealing with right now? Do you think that Trump is handling things better than the Italian leader did? Is he handling it better than the UK leaders? How do you feel what's going on? Because you know right now, Italy is under total quarantine. It's a shut down nation, second only to Somalia right now. So how do you feel?
Well, I mean, we can see the same exact thing that's going on in Italy right here in the United States, only it's a small community in New York where they had to call in the National Guard to go in to maintain the perimeter in that area where they have a hot spot. So it's not as large as we see in Italy, but the same thing is occurring here. We're just getting ramped up. We're going slow. We've seen many things canceled. Our schools are closing down.
True.
And the whole issue is to reduce the number of people that you come in contact with to reduce the transmission of the disease. And until we're just now getting online, the president made us be behind the 8 ball because we could have had testing. The universities could develop tests much earlier than the CDC, and could have been testing people so that we would know who actually has the disease and who hasn't. So I would say that we're a little bit behind the curve as compared to some of the other countries, but we are catching up.
Wow. How do y'all feel? Do you feel a conspiracy or what is it, you know, in the words of Keith Sweat, something just ain't right? What do you feel that just right ain't?
I would have to say that right now I do agree kind of what you're saying. We had a slow process. I feel like things could have been handled a little faster, better situations. You have these airports with people study coming in. You have to also think about the kids, because that's the first thing that comes to mind to me. You have just now schools starting to close. I'm a basketball coach. We just now canceled practice today.
Because of the coronavirus.
because of the coronavirus.
Okay.
We just not council practice. So thinking about 3 weeks ago, you know, hey, we still have kids coming in, practicing. We can't sanitize our hand every time we touch this ball.
And we sweating.
And we sweating.
Sweating with body contact.
Yes, sir. We sweating now. They're gonna sweat. Yes, sir. They have to sweat. They're gonna get up out there sticking with this virus. I do agree with that, doctor. I really do. I will say, for as our president, I think what a lot of people are not doing that they need to do is pray for our president.
I agree.
We have to pray for our president. Everything he does is not going to be right. We're going to have some disagreements. Everything I do is not right. Pray for me. But moving forward with our president, praying for him and asking God to show him the ways, that those are things that we have to continue to do for our president. And I just want to say that our president, he is a true believer of Christianity. I will say that. Yeah. I will say that.
He'll probably be our last actual Christian president. He got flaws.
You said that.
Yeah. He'll be our last Christian president.
Right. Just
love him, I hate him. I'm just being real.
Yeah.
Pastor Times, go ahead and say something.
Well, I'll refrain from commenting on that last comment. I happen to disagree with the president being a Christian. After all, he did say that he never asked God for forgiveness. And, you can look at the Holy Bible and never find those
Did he actually
words.
say that, or was that a Facebook
I
meme?
think that was a Facebook thing.
I think that was
I don't
me.
think those
I
words
hope
came
not.
out of his mouth.
I think he actually said that because matter of fact, many times he's tried to quote scripture and misquoted.
I didn't say it was a preacher.
And just various things. But you can even look at his narcissistic personality behavior and notice that that's totally against what even being a humanist is about. This guy
Well, let me ask you, because in the church we say practice what you preach, and we say I don't look at what you say as much as what you do. So I want you to talk about real quick as far as the leadership in this thing is going, because he has flaws. He has more flaws than a Baptist preacher. I'm just going to be real with you. But even in the midst of that, his policies speak to Christian values. I was born a Democrat. I can't tell you that I'm 100% Democrat now, because I don't agree with what my party is doing, because it's in favor of a lot of unchristian values. But when I look at the president, a lot of things that he do, even though we feel like we're different, but he's supporting a lot of things that I would support as a Democrat. So now, in today's 2020, I really don't know if we have a real definition of what a Republican is and what a Democrat is. As a matter of fact, it's beginning to look kind of like what it did in post-slavery days, where it was kind of like the Republicans that freed the slaves and the Democrats that said y'all crazy. And things flipped after the stock market crashed, and that's when we became pro-democratic again. But I didn't do that to have a social studies lesson, but I just want to say, with the conspiracy theory that's going on, tell me how you feel about where we are right now.
I think he's totally mishandling the situation out of straight up denial and narcissism.
Yeah.
That you can look at that and look at every press conference he's had since this virus is broken out, and see all the denials. Call it putting your head in sand if you want to, whatever the case may be. He's not really addressing an actual health crisis that really they knew about 2-3 months ago.
Wow.
We could have gotten ahead of it. So there are things that could have been done that by his administration that they did not do. As a matter of
And
fact,
I agree with Dr. V with that as
as
well.
a matter of fact, Obama had, remember we had that, not SARS, but the H1N1 swine
Yeah, the bird flu or the swine flu.
Right.
It's been so many flus.
And then that other incident that happened with Ebola.
Ebola, the Zika virus.
Yeah, and
all that.
Obama created some type of panel or whatever it was.
Think tank.
Yeah, to get ahead of that stuff.
You look at 2 different presidents, so.
Well, but see, we talking about, what is he doing? And
What is
this
he
a
doing to
conspiracy.
combat
Right.
this?
He totally took apart and didn't hire anybody else. He disassembled that mechanism that could have helped us right now, and he didn't hire anybody else. So he really has created a bigger problem when it comes
Well,
to
I think a
how
lot
to
of
address.
people, in his narcissism, he probably thought that it was an Asia thing and didn't know that the United States is a melting pot and we have our hands and fingers in every nation that's on the face of the earth. And you've heard the latest bombshell that a guy that actually came and visited him in the White House now has COVID-19 now. So I'm hoping that he saved the test for himself.
Right, and even talking about how many tests you got, I'm like, come on, nobody believes
Test
that.
everybody in the United States.
Anybody that wants a
Impossible.
test can get a
Yeah.
test. That's
Impossible.
straight up lying to me, because you know for a fact how many tests you got.
Well, let's talk about another lie, possibly. It may be true, I don't know. But Trump made the statement that he has done more for
Oh
Christianity
my God.
than Jesus.
Yes.
So this is the kind of leadership that you
They got
have.
that on tape.
And
We have a real president.
Yeah.
I mean, real in the most negative sense of the
yeah,
word.
so when you say that he's a Christian, I'm wondering how he could be Christian and see that there are people at our doorsteps that are thousands of people coming to the United States that are homeless, that have children with no food. If they return to their country, they'll be persecuted. They come to the United States where we have abundance of resources. As they say, the richest country in the world, but yet and still we want to build a wall to keep out those that are less fortunate in the world. And we can see how we do here in the United States with our less fortunate, the homeless, and our elderly.
Dr. V, got to ask a question, though, got to play the devil's advocate. Are other nations opening their gates and borders the way they want the United States to do? Can I just walk into a country because I'm being persecuted and they give me rite of passage?
It depends on which country you're talking about, and many of the countries around, particularly Canada, if you look at Mexico, our neighbor, they're taking people in. You see, there's a lot of other countries that are taking people in. The problem becomes is, like particularly with Syria, that when we destabilize an area and we're bombing and selling resources where people can bomb the civilians, then we are actually contributing to our billions of dollars that we could be addressing the homeless issue. We're causing more homeless in other nations by the way in which we spend our dollars.
So we're the ones that's actually producing the refugees.
Yes.
Wow.
If we look at the drug problem in South America, that we can go back, because one of my favorite quotes is with Ollie North, that they were trading guns for cocaine for the Contras, and he says, I just can't recall.
That's right.
That was the start of Alternative Facts, that he could not recall actually selling all these drugs and destabilizing those countries through military action.
I got a client, a former client of mine, to speak to the Syria incident. he saw his sister got blown up.
Wow.
Like from one of a bomb dropped out of the
Civilian,
sky.
civilian.
This guy
Civilian.
has PTSD to this day.
My God.
And homeless, by the way, because of he can't get over what had happened to his sister. And he blames himself somehow for this whole thing happening, like he couldn't keep her safe.
Right.
You know, this is going on over there. I got people that I know from all over the Middle East who I've talked to as clients of mine when I was in Virginia and in Texas, dealing with these same types of issues. And these people are basically walking around invisible, and you never see who they are. But they've got real hurts, real pain, real problems, and you know, who's here to fix it?
Well, can I take it another notch for the panel real quick? And I need all y'all to chime in on this. Is what's going on our borders, since we're talking about homelessness, is what going on our borders, is it a Mexico problem, or is it a problem that we created? What is our stake in this?
It's an international problem, because if you look at it, we have Honduras, Guatemala, Brazil, Venezuela, you know, all these southern countries, South American countries that we help destabilize, that we pump money into, putting our industries there and extracting the labor without reinforcing those governments. We had programs where we actually sent aid to the countries that we withdrew. And once we withdrew that money, then we created another situation where the people are trying to come. Basically, you can kind of say we were preventing homeless by sending money to those countries, and then we took the money away and said, now you can't come to our house anymore. So we were paying them almost to kind of stay away to support their own development where they were, and we took that money away.
Well, gentlemen, where are the drugs coming from? Who are we getting these drugs from, and who are we supporting to give us these?
And that's one thing I wanted to ask, because having to kind of know, study and stuff about the gang MS-13, you know, that background there, having them to come over here and take our kids and taking them elsewhere and selling them, you know, trafficking and trading, what's really going on right here in Houston is at the top of the list right now for trafficking and trading. And due to MS-13, allowing them to come over here and go back freely.
Well, I mean, while we on that topic, what are we doing? Because it's like you're saying that you want to shut the borders down to keep us safe, but what are you doing to stop the drug dealers that got the poppy fields and the acreage of farmland, and they growing everything? I don't know the names of all these plants that the drugs come from, but I'm sure that the drug lords in these South American, Central American countries, they got the property to produce these things. What are we doing to help the Mexican government stop this, or are we the ones supplying the fertilizer? I'm just asking.
I think it goes both ways. I think that there are lots of things going on. Just break it down. There's big money, big enterprise in drug dealing. And I'm not just talking about the guys on the street corner. Those guys aren't making a lot of money.
Yeah, that's low level.
We're talking about the people who are the kingpins.
Right.
And some of these people support politicians, just to be real about it. I know some incidents that's happened from some inside folks that I know. And you'd be amazed, surprised how much money, dirty money, gets pumped through the political system. And that, you got all kinds of us talking about conspiracy. That money goes all over the place. A lot of hands touch those dirty dollars that grease those wheels for those narcotics people, the cartel, to do what they do. And so, I mean, if you really look at it, this is an American problem. I did a research paper on this many years ago, but we the ones created the laws that say that we're going to have a war on drugs. That wasn't the case, 100 years ago. But all of a sudden, let's just make this out of war. We're going to, basically coerce every country in the world to support us and saying, hey, these drugs are illegal. We're going to prosecute people and make it illegal. And when you do that, like prohibition, right? The price goes up, the risk goes up, the harm goes up, the crime goes up. To decriminalize something?
I just want to make a comment about dirty money. That and when a drug dealer with his gold teeth and whatever this being, stereotype,
City.
and his rims, all that stuff, goes into the car dealership and puts down his money for, his brand new Lexus or whatever, that money then isn't dirty.
No.
Or when he buys a house, or when he pays taxes, that money is not dirty. And when anybody in the trade spends their dollars in the economy, so if we're talking about $1 billion, maybe $1 trillion industry, then that's something that is part of the world economy. And with we're talking about arms, that many of the revolutionary or the fighting forces, let's call them fighting forces around the world, use drug money to buy from who? One of the biggest arm dealer, the United States. They take that money and then buy.
I have a quick question, Doc. Those drug lords, as they say, drug lords, people that sell drugs, those drug people, when they say that they're going to give this church this amount of money, do the church accept that money as dirty money?
No. They use that money just like you use any other money that
Amen.
To do whatever you can do. I mean, I don't think you want to get into illegal where you're conspiring that I know you're a drug dealer, so I'm going to tell on you if you don't give me money. But we can look at it's not only just the drug money. There's other. I mean, when I'm overcharging you for a loan, a payday loan, and I spend your money at church, or I overcharge you at my corner store for stuff, and I give your money to church. It's the same exploitation that occurs with the money, however it's gotten, and then it goes into possible service for the good.
Well, that's why they call it currency, because it circulates. But I hate to tell you guys this, we have actually ran out of time. So we're going to have to come back to this topic as well. But before we get out of here, I want you to talk to the people again, give your name. If anybody out there in radio land on the internet waves want to get in touch with you and you're available to be contacted, I would like you to quickly give that information as well. And I'll go this way and I'll start with you, Dr. B.
Okay, Beyond McReynolds, you can contact me with tourdayhood.org or just Tour Day Hood on the Facebook. And if there's somebody out there within the range of my voice that can make it rain on the homeless, please do so.
Amen.
Go ahead.
My name is Minister Durang Gillespie. I'm under the Standing in Faith Ministry. We are a restoration reentry ministry as well. We are for 784 Davidson Street, that's Houston, Texas, 77091. Those individuals that need help, please reach out to us. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter as well, on the web as well. Or you can also contact us at 713-497-5372.
All right, Pastor Times.
My name is Pastor Times. You can contact me on Instagram or Facebook. Also have a website, www.christimescoach@wordpress.com.
And I'll go last. Once again, you're talking to the bishop. This is George Sanders. I am located in Houston, Texas. I pastor Greater Mount Carmel, the Church of Restoration at 7414 Wheatley, Houston, Texas. Zip is 77088. If you are in need of spiritual counseling or prophetic solution, I am your man. You can reach me at 832-763-8342. I'll be glad to talk about your situation, and I'll tell you that there is a solution from on high. Well, that does it for today's show. We look forward to being with you again on the Source Seeker Hour. Stay tuned.